Hello, dear astrology lovers. Here I am today talking about a subject that I usually get a lot of questions on. The subject is the rising sign. Is the rising sign important? Is the rising sign more important than the sun sign? Are we more the rising sign after, 28, 32, or so on? So here I am trying to present you my view about the rising sign. Hope it will resonate with some of you. If it doesn't, I'm curious how you feel about the rising sign and what is the sign that you have on your ascendant. So how I like to view the rising sign or the ascendant, I usually like to make my clients imagine the moment they came here on planet Earth. And it's like imagining that at the moment of your birth, you had a rising sign on your window. It is the point, the east point of the horizon. So imagine you would look on the window at the moment of your birth, or someone in the room would look on the window. What is the sign that you would see there? What zodiac sign will be there lighting the room through that window? Because it's important to see that energy of that sign. What does that sign want to tell you about your life? How does it color the chart and your life? Is the rising sign important? Yes, it is important, but from my point of view, not as important as many people make it sound. In some cases, in some charts, it can be very, very, very important, very relevant. In some charts, maybe less. It is a point that I always look at. It is a point that I work with in the charts. But because the rising sign has a lot to do with the precision of the time of birth, many clients don't know their time of birth with precision. So the ascendant might change in another sign, or the ascendant might change the gene key placement. So it's very sensitive to our changes. My recommendation is to always work with your natal chart, because the natal chart is like a map that helps you better understand your life. And if the time of birth is correct, and if your chart is correct, it will very much tell the story of your life. So try to see if it matches who you are, if it talks the language you understand and you feel inside yourself. Otherwise, maybe it's not the correct time of birth. So you always have to tune in to yourself and to see if this guidance is correct or not. What I do like about the rising sign, and what I do consider important for all natal charts, is the fact that the rising sign helps us better understand the houses and the larger themes in a natal chart. For example, generally for a Taurus rising, the 10th house will be, or the house of career will be, in Aquarius. Or for a Gemini rising, the partnership house, the 7th house, will usually be in Sagittarius, usually, depending on the system we work with, but mainly it's like that. So this is a very important role that the ascendant has. It places the houses, and it helps us as astrologer to work with the big themes of a natal chart, understand them better. When is the rising sign very important? You can look at your chart, and there are two situations in which I feel that the rising sign becomes maybe even more important than in other charts. If you have aspects between your rising sign, the rising point, the ascendant, and other planets. Let's say you don't have any planet near the ascendant, but it aspects it something in the 7th house, let's say. So your rising is in Taurus, and your descendant is in Scorpio with Pluto there, let's say. Then you might have an ascendant Pluto opposition. Or maybe you have something in your 4th house, let's say the moon, ascendant moon square, or so on. They become more important because you have a planet that aspects this point and influences the personality. The second important is if there are planets in the first house. I personally like to work a lot with the first house, so I look at the ascendant, of course, I look at that point specifically, but I love to look at the first house. What is it we have in the first house? Because many times, as my case is, the rising sign will be in a sign, maybe at the end of a sign, but the whole first house will be in another sign. So it's interesting to see what happens in the first house. Do we have planets there? If we do have planets, which are the planets? I love to work with the energy of the planets because from my point of view, they have mass, they are here. Really, we can see them, and their energy influences us, even our personal chart. So I like to work a lot with planets. Look, if you have them, look what planets you have in the first house. And the way I like to picture the first house and the rising is always look at it like you would open the door and you enter a room. Which is the impact, which is the impression, which is the way you see reality when you enter a room, and which is the way people see you when you enter the room. Usually that happens with the energy of the rising and the first house. So try to see how they are and which are yours. I will also, at the end of this video, will share 2 charts so you can more easily see a chart where the ascendant is very, very aspected and the first house is very important, and a chart where maybe some other energies are more important than this one. Thank you for watching, and hope to find out how you see the rising sign and what your rising sign is. Thank you. So here I am back again. This time I'm going to share my screen and show you some different charts. So we have here a chart, a very interesting chart that makes work with the rising sign and the first house quite difficult for an astrologer. So the ascendant sign, as we see it here, it's in Capricorn, last degrees of Capricorn, but the first house contains both Aquarius and Pisces, and 2 planets here at the end of the first house, a huge first house that can be seen like this in the Placidus systems. If you work with other systems, equal houses, for example, you will have a different way the chart looks. So this person might not actually feel like a Capricorn because this Aquarius, the whole Aquarius sign in the first house may make them feel as Aquarian more than Capricorns. But the rising is in Capricorn, and because the rising is in Capricorn, we look at Saturn, the governor of Capricorn. What does Saturn do in the heart, in the chart? And we see here it's conjunct Mars in the 5th house, the creativity. So it might be an interesting case to look at what responsibility means. What does creativity mean for this person? Is it a way to solve their karma? Is it a way to solve the intense problems they have to solve in this life? Because Capricorn is not such an easy sign to deal with. But the personality might be more extravagant. So don't be fooled just by the rising sign. Look at everything that happens here. And then we have another chart that has a very interesting first house. And it's a similar case with rising sign in Libra, and then the first house in Scorpio with 3 big planets in Scorpio here. So this person has a rising sign in Libra, and we can look at Venus to better understand the Venus placement in the chart. But the personality or the way they can be perceived might be much more Scorpionic, because here is Pluto, here is Moon, here is Saturn, all of them in first house, all of them, and they're in the personality place. So you might have this strong energy of Venus and Pluto, the charming part, but the intense part too. So yeah, try to work with with the chart and see the miracles it has. And here we have another chart with the ascendant in Virgo, in the middle of Virgo. So this person may actually feel the rising in Virgo. And it aspects here the North Node. That means that the South Node will be conjunct the ascendant. You can see the North Node here. It looks like a pair of headphones. And even if it's not shown here, not all charts show the South Node, it's always in opposition with the North Node. So this person might actually feel the Virgo energy as it is. And in the other charts, we have two different personality flavors. Here it's a more Virgo-like. And of course, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and from my point of view, Chiron, we look, where is Mercury, where is Chiron? And in this case, they are both conjunct in this lovely 10th house. Thank you for watching, and hear you soon. Read soon from you what you feel like sharing, and have a great week.